Hey guys, it's your girl Samii here, back at it again with another Roblox video, and in today's video, as you can tell by the title, I'm finally going to be doing the long awaited How I Make My Roblox Thumbnails Part 2. This video has been so highly recommended, and I'm so happy to finally have the opportunity to make this video. I actually posted a question on my community tab a month ago asking you guys what my next video should be. I think I got around 340 votes around that number, and obviously How I Make My Roblox Thumbnails Part 2 got the most votes. I think it got 52 votes, so that was pretty exciting because I really wanted to make this video and I love helping people out. So that being said, let's get this tutorial started. So here I am on Roblox Studio for step number 1. So the first thing that I do is I go into Roblox Studio and I click on base plate and I just wait for that to load. So now that I'm on the base plate, then the next thing I do is I go up to where it says plugins and then I click on load character. So this is an already pro plugin. So to install this plugin, all you have to do is go over to manage plugins, this little gear over here, click on that and wait for it to load. Then go up to where it says find plugins, and here is the plugin. So for me, it's the second one on the first row, but you may need to scroll down to find it if you can't find it right away, and you could also search it up in the search bar. Once you find it, click on it, of course. So for me, it actually says reinstall because I obviously already have it installed, but typically for you it should say install. So go ahead and click install. It should say successfully downloaded, click OK, or whatever pops up. I don't really remember specifically what popped up for me. To get off of the screen, just go up to where it says plugin management and click the X right beside it. And now we're back on the base plate and we can finally add our Roblox character to the base plate. I'm going to click on load character. By default it'll say already pro because that's the person that created it. I mean, at least I think, I don't really know, but you're gonna want to double click on that and then just remove the name and fill it in with whatever name you want. So for the purpose of this video, and usually what I always do is I type in my Roblox username. Make sure that this spawn at origin has an X in the box because this will definitely come in handy in the next step. In the past, I used to click on spawn R15, but now I click on spawn R6. It's just a lot easier to work with, so I just go ahead and click on that, and then I just exit out of that and just wait for my Roblox character to pop up somewhere on the base plate. So here's my Roblox character, as you guys can see, and it is highlighted in this box. So the next thing that I do is I go over to view right beside plugins and I just click on Explorer, and then it opens this little tab over here. Now my Roblox character, as you guys can see, is selected, so obviously it's going to be selected here as well, and I actually want to delete two things from my Roblox character. So if you want to delete the face, which is what I like to do, I go down to head, I click the arrow beside that and I right click on face and then click delete right over here, and now the face is gone. And I also like to delete the bear mask as well. You guys are probably thinking, why don't you just take it off so that you don't have to do all of this, but I don't know, I just usually never do that. So I just right click that and delete. So now once I'm done with that, I go ahead and select my Roblox character, right click and go all the way down to export selection, click that, and I go over to my desktop up here and I just name it. I'm gonna go ahead and name it as tutorial. So let's go ahead and type that in. Wow, I could actually spell for once. So now I am all done with Roblox Studio. So the next thing that I do is I just go up to this X, click that, and it'll say save changes to base plate, and I just go ahead and click no. And now we're going to move on to step number 2. So here we are on Blender for step number 2. I actually made a tutorial a couple months ago on how I use Blender and how I render my Roblox characters. This tutorial is just strictly how I make my Roblox characters. It's not really how to use the program. So again, here we are on Blender, and to get rid of this random little screen over here, we're just gonna press anywhere on the screen. So we'll press over there. So the first thing I do is I get rid of this cube because by default it's just there. I'm not sure why, but it's just there. So to get rid of it, I just hover over it and I press delete. You could also press X on your keyboard to delete it, so I'll go ahead and do that right now. Another way to bring up the delete screen is to just press X on your keyboard and then just click delete, and bada bing bada boom, the cube is gone. And now we can move on to importing our Roblox character into Blender. So now we go up to file at the top and then go down to import, of course, and down to where it says wavefront.obj. Go ahead and click on that. In this case, I saved it to my desktop and I saved it as tutorial. So there's gonna be two. For some reason, it's just there's gonna be two usually. I click on the one that says .obj, not the one that says .mtl. So then I just select that and then click import obj, and here is my Roblox character. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and use this green arrow to bring my Roblox character forward a bit. And now obviously I want to add colors onto my Roblox character, so go over to this little plus right here and click that, and then I go down to where it says textured solid and I click that. So now I go down to where it says ambient inclusion and I also click that, and as you guys could see, this just adds a bit of shading, which I really like, so I go ahead and keep that on. So the next thing that I do is I go down to where it says shading, I click that and I click on sky, and then change it from sky to transparent, so that if you're adding it on top of an image or if you want to put it on your thumbnail, it'll be transparent, which means that there's no background, it's just your Roblox character and you won't have to worry about anything like that. And then I go up to this little world over here, I click on that, and then I click on all three of these. So I click on ambient inclusion, environment lighting, and indirect lighting. Now you guys are probably wondering, why are you clicking on 2 ambient inclusions? I don't know. That's pretty much how I learned how to do it, from watching a tutorial. As you guys can see, there's a little camera back here, and then I just right click on that, and then I click 0 on my number pad and then shift F. So that's pretty much how you get into camera mode. And I noticed that on Windows it's a little laggy. On my Mac it wasn't laggy at all, but on Windows it's a bit laggy for some reason. Actually, it's not that laggy today, but usually it's pretty laggy. And then I'm gonna go ahead and kind of angle it to where it's facing my Roblox character. So now once I figure out what angle I like, I go ahead and press enter on my keyboard, and then I go back to this little camera mode. Since the last one we used was this world, go back to camera mode and then go down to where it says render. Now some people actually like to change this to a higher resolution. Personally, I don't do this because it actually takes longer to render. Personally, I just keep it at whatever it's at, and then I click render. And as you guys can see, it renders pretty quickly. That wasn't even 5 seconds and it's already done. So now to save this, I go down to image right here and I go up to where it says save as image, and I click desktop and I just name it. I usually leave it as entitled.png, but for this I'm going to just name it as, tutorial again, because why not, and then save as image. So now we're finally done with Blender, and now we can move on to step number 3. So here we are on Google for step number 3. In your case, if you've never used PicMonkey, then you won't have this here. So all you have to do is search it up. So just go to the search bar and search up PicMonkey, and I'm just going to click on the first one. So the one you're going to want to click on is the one that says PicMonkey Photo Editor and Graphic Design Maker. It should have a green little check mark beside it. That's how you know it's the official site. So here I am on the official PicMonkey site or homepage. So many people in the comments down below were asking, I can't find the draw option. Where is the draw option? Did they delete it? Did they remove it? And I'm going to show you exactly how to access that because it's really simple. So to access the draw option on PicMonkey, you actually need to make sure that you're on the old version of PicMonkey. There's an old version of PicMonkey and a new version of PicMonkey. So make sure you're on the old version of PicMonkey. It should just look like this. If it looks a little different, it probably will just have a different background. Click on edit at the top over here. And make sure that you have your flash on. I'm probably going to have to enable it before I click on this. So just click on computer. It'll ask you to enable your flash. So go ahead and do that. Allow. And then it'll just bring you back to the screen. So again, do that same thing. Edit, computer, and then just choose a random image. I'm just going to go ahead and choose my profile picture because why not? Now once you're in the editor, now you can finally access the draw option. So what you're going to want to do is go over to the sparkly wand effects icon and click on that, and then scroll down all the way until you find the draw option, and it's literally right there. It's really self-explanatory, guys. I just feel like a lot of people didn't really try. They just went on to PicMonkey, didn't see it, and just thought that it was gone. But you guys really need to just believe in yourself. You need to trust yourself and just kind of experiment and see what you can do on your own. So now that you guys know where the draw option is, I'm gonna finally show you how I make my Roblox thumbnails. So to get to the new version of PicMonkey, click on that, and then it'll say switch to new PicMonkey, and then bada bing, bada boom, you should be on the new version of PicMonkey. Now the thing I love about the new version is, for example, let's just say your computer crashes or just randomly shuts down, or you have to go out and you were working on a thumbnail or a project or anything of that sort, and you're worried that it didn't save. Well, on the new version, it actually saves everything. The only downside is that if you were working on something and, for example, it's like oddly placed on the screen, you can't go back and change that, but everything that was done to it, it will be exactly how you left it. So now when I'm on the new version of PicMonkey, when I'm creating a new thumbnail, I go to edit new image, and then I click on computer, and then I go over to my desktop and I go over to my folder. So then I click on open and just wait for that to load. It'll say give it a name and a home, I literally just keep it as the same thing. I usually don't do that, so I just click on that. It says loading your image. It literally just takes a couple seconds, and then you should be in the new version. And the next thing that I do is I make sure that I go to resize, and I click on this thing that says keep proportions so that it doesn't mess up any of the numbers. And then in width I type in 1280, and then in height I type in 720. So it's going to be 1280 by 720 pixels, and then I go ahead and apply that. So the next thing that I do is I want to obviously add my Roblox character that we saved in Blender. So then I go down to graphics and I click on that, and then I click on add your own image at the top right here. And then I go to computer, and here it is. So you may be thinking, why is my Roblox character levitating like that, and why is there a bunch of these red lines? I just go ahead and go to this little alignment thing at the bottom next to the layers thing, and I uncheck layer edges and center, and I uncheck canvas edges and center, and that makes it so much easier to move. So I definitely recommend you do that. So as you guys can see, there's no more red lines, and it's a lot easier to move. I just go ahead and expand this by pulling. I'm really bad at explaining things, but I think you guys can pretty much understand what I'm trying to say. So I just expand it by pulling the arrow out a bit, or pulling out the outer corner. I literally look like a giant. Let me make it a bit bigger. I think that this should be pretty good. This is typically how big I would like my Roblox character to be. I zoom out so far so I could see how it looks like from like your perspective. So like if you were watching it, this is how it would look like. That's kind of why I've been zooming out a bit. So then I go over to effects, and then I click on that, and then I check drop shadow. In my thumbnails I like to add a white outline just to make it stand out a bit, so I go ahead and just change that to white. You can change it to literally any color. You can change it to red, pink, blue, it doesn't really matter, but in my case I change it to white. And then I go ahead and make the distance 0, intensity 100, fade at 0. To actually get horizontal and vertical blur, you can unlink it, and then you could change both of them. I think 10 usually is the perfect point for me, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep it like that and go ahead and exit out of that. So now that we're done with the outlining and I finally have my Roblox character here, now I'm gonna go ahead and add the face onto my Roblox character. So what I actually used to do in the past is I used to draw over my Roblox character's face, because originally I would have whatever default face and I would want to put a different face over that, so I'd actually draw over it, and it kind of looked a little bad. I feel like sometimes you could tell, and sometimes I used to make it super saturated, so I decided to use a new method. And so when I remove the face in Roblox Studio, it just makes it so much easier to just add the face, and I don't have to put in extra work, so it's just a lot easier. So then I go to graphics, add your own, computer. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with the super happy face. We're gonna go ahead and select that, and some people just would add it right onto the thumbnail, but personally I don't really like how it looks like that. It looks a little bit stretched to me. So what I do is I actually go to this erase right over here on the far left, and I like to size this up a bit, and then I literally just delete the little blush marks, the blush lines, and the mouth, so that it's only the eyes, and then I resize that. Usually 10's pretty good. So then I go back to add image, and I think you guys probably understand what I'm doing now. I've actually already explained this in the part 1, so if you already watched that, you're probably like, okay, we get it. You already did this in the part 1. Just get to the point. I'm sorry, guys. So now we're all done with our Roblox character's face. So now we're going to move on to one of the last steps, and that is the little Roblox logo usually it's on the right side. So on the right side of the screen. So what I do is I just go up one where it says text, and I click add text. Now you have to download the Roblox font, and if I remember, I'll leave it in the description down below. You guys can actually download it. So then here we have our little text box over here, so I just put that in the corner, and I go up to where it says Lato, however you want to pronounce that, and then I click on that, and I go to Roblox 2017 regular. It doesn't really matter what year it is, it's gonna be the same font regardless. And I go ahead and obviously delete that by double clicking and type in Roblox. Now you guys may notice that in my thumbnails I like to overlap the O, but just for the specific one I'm not going to do that because I already know this tutorial is going to be super long and I'm really hoping it's not close to 30 minutes like my first one, but I really wanted to make this tutorial more self-explanatory and kind of just more straight to the point. So then I just go ahead and resize that. I'm so sorry guys, I talk a lot, that's just my personality, so if you don't like that, I am sorry. I mean, I shouldn't have to apologize for that, but I'm sorry if you don't like that. I actually usually like to play around with the red. Sometimes what I actually do, oh, this is actually perfect. So sometimes what I like to do is I click on this and just hover it over this, and it kind of makes it the same, and I usually like that color, and then just make it a little darker, make it a little brighter, but this is perfect. So then I go over to effects and I click on drop shadow, and then I also change this to white. Do the same thing that I did for the outline of my Roblox character. I go to distance, change that to 0, intensity to 100, fade to 0, and then blur. And now the last thing that I do, which is completely optional, but this is just personally what I do. The next thing I do is I go over to the layers palette again, and I click on this flatten all layers. So what this flatten layers option does is, or flatten all layers option does, is it actually makes it so that you can't move anything that you added, and it makes everything just one image instead of having the Roblox layer, the Roblox character layer, the faces, the background. There's just one layer, so you can't move anything after this. Make sure that you like the placement before you click this, because you can go back by using these little redo arrows, and then you can go ahead and click the flatten all layers. Now the next thing that I do is I go to effects, and then I go down, just scroll down a bit, and then right where it says burst, I go ahead and click that, and as you guys could see, it's a lot more saturated. If we go ahead and cancel, it's not as saturated. Click burst again and it's more saturated. Now I feel like in the past I used to make my thumbnails way too saturated, and I don't know, my thumbnails back then were so like unnecessary. I used to add so many random overlays, so many random things to the thumbnail, thinking that it looked cute, thinking that it was so nice and organized, but it really was just all over the place. And I definitely think that I've improved, and I feel like in the future I can definitely improve too. Like, there's always room for improvement. I'm not perfect, but literally it would be at 50 and I would just drag it all the way up to 100. Some people like that, but personally I think that it just changes my complexion. I usually like to keep it at 50. 50 is usually just perfect for me, so by default it'll be at 50, and I just click apply and see how I like that. And that's pretty much how I make my Roblox thumbnail. I can't believe we're finally done this video. Like, I feel like I've been making this video all morning. I've been redoing this video so many times because it wasn't turning out how I liked it. The audio has been giving me problems. If you ask me a question that I've already answered in this video, I'm most likely not going to reply. I'll probably just say watch the full video, because I'm not going to answer a question that I already answered in the video. I just don't feel like that's necessary. But if there is a question that you want to know about PicMonkey, or a feature that you want to know how to use, then make sure to comment down below. Oh, I almost forgot one thing. I actually forgot to mention this in the part 1. So how I actually save my Roblox thumbnails is I click the Windows key on my keyboard, or the Windows button on my keyboard. I go ahead and click that, and then I just type in SN, which will automatically pop up as snipping tool. And yeah, that's pretty much how I make my Roblox thumbnails. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been so highly requested, and I literally made the part 1 10 months ago. Almost a year ago I made the part 1, and I'm just now making the part 2, which is super crazy. I do plan on making more tutorials in the future. Comment down below what kind of tutorials you guys would like to see me make, and make sure that it's Roblox related and like in some way. I'm not gonna do a tutorial on how I edit my videos just because it's really self-explanatory, and I honestly am still trying to get used to my editor. But anyways guys, with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye guys!